it's Mia with TMBH. Today's March 26th, and we are going to talk about heroin. We've spoken about fentanyl, which is heroin's cousin, but now let's talk about heroin itself. When we think about opioids, I guess like probably heroin would be like the first opioid that most people know about. Heroin is really interesting because heroin really wasn't supposed to be what it is. In fact, like the opioid crisis kind of was like a long time coming in America. Like it started off with just like the addiction to morphine, because morphine was kind of like, I guess at one point pretty much the only opioid available, or the main opioid that was available. But then people started to experience addictions to morphine, and obviously this was not a good thing. So America was like, we need to do something about this. We cannot have this. We need to develop something that is better. And so then doctors were like, let's create a different drug. And they did. They came up with heroin, which was supposed to be the kind of, the non-addictive version of morphine. Except it all kind of like turned around and smacked them in the face when they found out, surprise, heroin is actually even more addictive than the substance that we had before. And so then here you go and you have like this heroin crisis, which in turn ended up, that's kind of how we ended up with drugs like fentanyl and so on and so forth. It's really surprising when you look at the history of kind of the opioid crisis, because it's so funny how like there's like at least 4 or 5 other drugs that come before, like I would say like fentanyl, that were supposed to be like, oh, it's the non-addictive replacement to insert other drug that was at that point addictive, or that was like addictive and like the drug that everybody was on. And you would think that like this would have stopped being an issue a while ago, and that maybe like, I don't know, we would have realized that opioids is probably not the best way to go about treating pain, because opioids, period, are very addictive, right? So yeah, heroin is a special drug because, you know, right now it's listed as a Schedule 1 drug, right? And that means that apparently there's no medical benefit. This we know isn't necessarily fully true. There's a medical benefit to heroin. Heroin can be a pain reliever, but it's gotten to the point now where it's just so addictive that it's, what it does, like the medical benefit of it, the reduction of pain, it just pales in comparison to the con. Like when you look at the pros and the cons of heroin just greatly outweigh the pros. And so in America, it's now it's a Schedule 1 drug, because basically what they're saying is in America, we will not use this drug for medical purposes, even if it can alleviate pain. It is so dangerous that we refuse to administer this to anybody because it is that addictive. And so thus, heroin is not given to people, such as fentanyl, which is a Schedule 2 drug, which has medical benefits, but they put it on a time release patch, and even then people find ways to abuse it. So there you go. What else is there to say about heroin? I would probably say that heroin is something that people need to be very careful with, because I feel like people are just like, oh, well, like I can do it. I know what I'm getting myself into. Like I know what heroin is. I know how heroin affects me. Like this and that. I've been doing it for however long. Heroin is not normally, like you're not getting pure heroin. Like when you buy heroin, like you're not just buying like, it's like, think about juice, right? Like you have like 100% juice, and then you like juice from like concentrate and all that crap, which is like juice flavors and then like a whole bunch of other stuff, and it tastes like juice, and it's like, oh, it tastes like fruits, like we're good, but it's not really. Think about your heroin that way. Like you're gonna get high like heroin, and it's gonna, I guess, kind of be like heroin, but the fact is there's other things in your heroin, and every time you take heroin, you're playing this game where literally all you can do is hope that whoever cut your heroin didn't mess up too much and put either something in there that just shouldn't have been in there, period, put too much of something in there. You're literally every single time, it's like Russian roulette. Taking heroin is literally like Russian roulette. You don't know what you're taking. That's a fact. That's for everyone, no matter who you are, where you get your heroin from. You don't know enough about it to be taking it to the point where you're not playing a game of chance. It is literally Russian roulette. You are injecting something into your arm or however you choose to take your heroin, and it can very well kill you, and you will not know until the day comes that it kills you. And that's very unfortunate, and which is why we want to get people into rehab, because we don't want you guys to be in a position where you're like, oh my goodness, here we are, oh my god, it's killing me now, and you OD and you're gone, and you didn't mean to be. You know, you thought you knew what you were getting yourself into, and you didn't. And that can happen the first time you take heroin, or it can happen the second time, the third time, the 22nd time, or the 200th time. Nobody's ever sure. But it'd be really unfortunate if you died, because we don't want people dying. So yeah, I will see you guys here tomorrow again at 1 o'clock. Don't forget to check out our other video, not this live video, but our morning video, which talks more about heroin and gives you guys like information about like the symptoms and like what withdrawal is like, basically all the stuff I didn't tell you in this video. So yeah, I will holla at you guys tomorrow.